Hello, and welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where me and Chris watch
movies.
Getting better every week.
Every week. Robot hello,
Every
Tanner.
week. Oh, robot hello to you.
Oh, I thank you. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Happy almost robot Thanksgiving.
Oh, is that coming up already?
Is it not?
Oh, I thought Robo Thanksgiving was in a different month, but I could be wrong. What happens?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's not in November. They have their own special Robot Black Friday, Robot Turkey, the whole.
Cyber Monday, you mean?
Cyber Monday. That's it. Yeah, that's when they celebrate.
How
you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. Getting through the week, a little bit tired, but I'm good. How are you?
Nice. Yeah, I'm doing good. I had a funny moment today. I teach science, and I played a Bill Nye video in class, and preempted it with he raised the flag at the Seahawks game, and I was really excited to share this thing from the United States that I loved, and Bill Nye from my childhood, and the kids could not have cared less. It was. It brought me down a little bit. So I'm happy to be here talking to you because I know you'll appreciate my dumb Bill Nye jokes.
Wait, you just made Bill Nye jokes, or did you show an episode or a clip?
I showed half an episode about thermal energy.
And they just didn't care at all?
They were just very indifferent. They didn't think it was nearly as cool.
Do they care about anything, kids these days? Do they care about anything?
They play this game called Eggy Car, and do you remember Flappy Bird? It's one of those dumb games that just goes forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
what is it? An egg in a car?
Yes. And if you accelerate or decelerate too fast, the egg falls out of the car. That's the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if the egg breaks,
you
then
keep it.
Yeah.
And they all play it. It's like a solo game, but they all
play on their Chrome, because they can't have phones, but they can play it on their Chromebooks. So they play that shit all the time.
Oh, they all have Chromebooks?
Yeah. Well,
that's crazy.
I mean, they have computers. They all have computers.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is now an Eggy Car podcast. Welcome.
Eggy Cart. Can't wait. That's where you get eggs delivered to your house, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So anyway,
my egg guy. Well, that's disappointing. Bill Nye is a treasure. He's a treasure.
He is a treasure.
I feel like I mean, you could have showed him how would you get them interested in something like that? Is there a modern version? Maybe SpongeBob teaching science or something?
Or what if I could figure out how to make Eggy Car teach them something?
There you go. Well, you probably could. It's some kind of it's some kind of physics-based lesson, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you cook eggs. That's thermal energy. That was the lesson I was teaching. So.
Oh, it was.
We're there. Yeah.
Were you actually going for cooking eggs?
No. We were just talking about convection and radiation, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but.
Well, you can send me the link, and I'll learn something new because I've forgotten everything I've learned.
Everything that Bill Nye taught us as children. Yeah.
In case you don't know, Bill Nye is a scientist, TV scientist man from the 90s.
Yes, sir.
He's much like what would you call him? Like a Mr. Rogers of science?
Yeah, I think that's an apt comparison. Yeah, he had a lot of energy. He had a pretty fun TV show, and the whole TV show was just about little science bits.
It definitely made learning science more fun, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of science, today we're talking about half man, half robot, half cop people, which takes science to get there, right?
Solid science. Yes, this is founded in
And
reality.
my explanation was also very scientific.
That's right. We watched RoboCop 3 this week. We are partway through our watch through of all the RoboCop movies. And as we're watching the RoboCop movies, we're also playing some of the video games and reading some of the graphic novels and just kind of taking on RoboCop.
We're really getting into it.
Yeah.
Really getting into it. Yeah. So we are watching all the movies in order, and then we talk about the IP as he mentioned. We also feature a little thing on this podcast with surveys. So we release a survey with each episode and each movie. Ask you guys to follow along and kind of make jokes with us, and yeah, makes for a nice listening and viewing experience. I think. What do you think?
I think so. It's a fun part of doing this for me. So I hope the listeners enjoy it too. It's a little more engaging.
There you go. It's all about engagement.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's get into that. So this is the survey from RoboCop 2 from last week. We asked you guys what the favorite line of the movie was, and we got 7 responses. So shout out to Reddit again for the responses. Favorite line was "Go fuck a refrigerator, peckerneck." With a close second, "Think it over, creep."
Go fuck a refrigerator, peckerneck is so much better.
I thought about it too late.
Yeah.
I should have added the question: What machine would you want to see RoboCop fuck besides a refrigerator?
Besides the refrigerator, yes. Well, there's always this week.
I'm sure there's some fan fiction out there. All right, coolest kill of the movie. The winner was ricochet shot.
I did really like the old 80s graphics where it like calculated the perfect ricochet for that shot. That little green grid on the wall was a nice touch.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Best commercial here. We got, so they feature these satirical commercials, and the winner here was the Magnavolt, which was the car theft deterrent. Somebody would break into the car and it would strap you down and shock you to death.
And then throw you out of the car. Yeah.
Good stuff. Then we got some prompts here. Besides the skeleton of Elvis, what would you buy if you were annoyingly rich? So yeah, they featured at the crime boss's place. They just had a quick pan shot, and there was like an Elvis skeleton in a box. So that was very strange. And let's see the answers here. We got drugs, the skeleton of Prince.
Nice. Ooh, get the king and the prince.
Yeah, and then that for $1. I'd buy that for $1. Collectibles, nice.
Okay,
so just all the memorabilia, T-shirts, hats that say I'd buy that for $1. I kind of want a hat that says that actually.
I'd wear that. Yeah,
for $1. Bill Cosby's preserved corpse. Oh no.
My. Not touching that one.
So it says he was murdered by sexual assault in this scenario. So Bill Cosby got his comeuppance in their scenario here.
Okay. Is he in jail? No, I don't. We don't need to talk about Bill Cosby.
We don't need to go full.
No.
I think he got out.
He's out?
He escaped. No, he. I think he got out somehow. Technicality.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the skeleton of Peter Weller dressed as RoboCop.
Good answer. I like that.
And then a full woolly mammoth skeleton. Any property. Oh, just like buy a house at all? Any house?
That was a complaint about being a millennial and not being able to buy anything. Yeah.
I was annoyingly rich. I'd actually be able to afford a house.
I would participate in society. That's what I would do if I was annoyingly rich.
Chris, what are, like, if you were to buy a house in Colombia, is it like affordable down there?
Yeah, more so. It's harder to get a loan and the interest rates are very steep. So if you can work around that, I do work with some people that have bought property or bought apartments down here more than homes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one we had some photos to choose from. Your favorite Spider Baby Starlersky pose. He was the contortionist who played the violin upside down and in various positions. Looks like we got a tie between. How am I going to describe this? Options 3 and 4. Okay,
Yeah, this is an audio medium and a visual prompt. This is not going to go well.
Oh, it's great. Okay,
try.
Option 3 is him spread out doing the splits over two chairs, two office chairs set up, and he's playing the fiddle, doing that, like Jean
with his mouth. With his mouth.
Oh, he's playing with his mouth. I didn't even see that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's pretty good. And then option 4, his legs are behind him and up. How would you describe that? And he's
like
playing the fiddle,
full pretzel. Yeah,
full pretzel on the ground. I think those are the best ones.
I think so too. Yeah.
And then besides Spider Baby Starlitsky, who else showed up to save Detroit at the telethon? Let's see. We got Mike Stoklasa. I don't know who that is, if that's someone real or not.
Not familiar.
Hob, RoboCop. Michael Richards doing comedy. Okay. This is the same guy as the Bill Cosby guy, I can tell.
Okay, yeah.
And then we got Ham Michael Sandwich, the sandwich artist.
Excellent.
And Logjam Larry, a man in a beaver costume. Then we got Monkey Tongue McGillicuddy. What does he do?
I'm not sure. I left that up to the imagination. I mostly just went on Spider Baby Starlinsky is such a great name. You know, you could just make more of those. Yeah.
And then Funky Kong from Donkey Kong. Is that
the
one?
Mm-hmm. Oh, the old guy, right? Or no, he's the one with the sunglasses.
That's Cranky. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Funky Kong's the really cool one.
Oh, he's so funky, dude.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Favorite new directive. So RoboCop was implemented with a bunch of new morality clauses, basically.
Hundreds. Yeah.
Hundreds of them.
New ones.
Some really funny ones. The winner here was don't walk across a ballroom floor swinging your arms. Very important. Also, some options here with votes. We got to avoid Orion meetings. Don't run through puddles and splash pedestrians or other cars. And don't say that you're always prompt when you are not. Very good stuff. I realized, I think I said last week, the Orion company was defunct by the time 3 came out, and I found out that it wasn't defunct, it was just bankrupt. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But there was definitely some strife with the company, so that's funny they added that in.
Sure, yeah.
And then we got a prompt here for... So Dr. Fax gave RoboCop over 200 new directives, focusing on morals. Make a new prime directive for a moral RoboCop. Getting a little feedback. Remind men over 40 of the importance of regular prostate exams. Nice. Don't leave the lights on. Will not help build other robots like me.
Good.
Make America great again, you losers. Okay. Never forget to say goodbye when leaving a party. Make sure to respond, I'm good, how are you? Wash your hands for 20 seconds, minimum.
Do robots have to wash their hands?
Well, you know.
Their robo hands?
He's teaching the youth as well, so you got to make sure, yeah.
This is true.
Cover your mouth when coughing, and the fork is always placed to the left of the knife.
Critically important.
Critically important. No robo-sex before robo-marriage. Awesome.
Leave room for Robo-Jesus, you know?
That was a great prompt. Thank you for those.
Yep.
That's great. All right, rate RoboCop 2. We got kind of a mixed bag here. Some people really liked it. The winner was... The most votes was a 3 out of 5.
Okay. Couple votes for 4 and 5, though.
Yeah.
And no votes for 1 or 2. So it's skewed, kind of an average rating, but it's skewed towards good.
Yeah, 4, 3.5, 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for taking that survey, everybody on the Reddit.
That's right. And if you're out there
Yeah.
listening, jump in the show notes at the end of this show and take our survey for RoboCop 3. That'll be on there, and we'll have some more silly prompts and some more
They're gonna
gags
be
and
so
goofs.
silly, extra silly.
Oh,
This week.
silly. Mm-hmm.
So silly. So if you like silly,
Uh-huh.
stick with us. All right. Yeah, RoboCop 3, Chris. Got a lot to talk about here. This movie came out in 1993. It was directed by Fred Decker, who directed The Monster Squad, which I talked a bit about a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see it was filmed basically back to back with RoboCop 2 in 1991, and because of their bankruptcy it got delayed by like 2 years.
So it was filmed back to back, but they changed the lead actor in that time.
Not back to back, but maybe like a year, like the next year. And
Sure,
I did see, so I saw that he wanted to actually reprise his role, but he was starring in Naked Lunch by the David Cronenberg movie. And he was just conflicted with scheduling and couldn't make it work. So it wasn't, it wasn't, sounds like it wasn't that he didn't want to do it. It's just that it didn't work out. And the company, I think, was trying to push it through so fast that it's like, we're not even going to wait for you.
For him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, this company is responsible for a lot of the problems with the sequels. I feel like just trying to, it's the cash cow thing, get it out there.
Absolutely.
We need to make money while RoboCop is hot.
Yep. I think we saw that with 2. There was a bunch of people that were responsible for the story that made it on screen in 2. And it was really just a factor of them wanting a sequel more than them having an idea for a story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw this was also written by Frank Miller, and I wasn't sure if you had any insight on the difference between the comic and the movie and this one, or if there is. I don't really know.
I've got some stuff to talk about in Milk because I did read they made a graphic novel after the fact to kind of go along with his original screenplay. And I talked a little bit about the one for RoboCop 2 last week, and I read RoboCop 3 this week. We'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah, I've got a little related stuff too. The new Rogue City game, I found out, takes place, the more I've been playing it, between 2 and 3, and kind of fills in some plot holes there, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
So I'll talk about that during the Milk as well. But before we get to that, let's talk about RoboCop 3. Break it all down here.
That's right.
So this movie stars Robert Burke, has replaced Peter Weller. Kind of a boring performance, I would say, compared to the other one.
I would agree.
The voice just there's something about Peter Weller's voice when he does it. It sounds perfect.
And he has the walk down too. Yeah, I don't think I appreciated how much I liked Peter Weller until I saw somebody who wasn't Peter Weller doing it.
Exactly. There's something about it. It's like that, and they mentioned it in other production things that I read, where like he kind of had this magic touch about it that just worked for whatever reason.
Sure.
And the guy does look a lot like him, though, does he not?
I feel like that's how they cast him.
Yeah.
They just got like another skinny white man with a similar face.
Because you don't really need to say much as RoboCop, so they're probably just like, well, let's get somebody who looks like him, and that's all that. Really
that's kind of true. I mean, most of RoboCop scenes, I think you don't need a very good actor. It's really the scenes where his helmet is off and he's like talking to someone.
I did read that.
Where it made a difference.
Yeah. They that whole scene where he got burned and kind of like reconstructed. Like the first time you see his face, that was kind of put in there to explain why he looks different.
Oh,
basically.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, where's this movie starting out here? Let's jump in.
Dude. Let's jump in. We start with an ad again. So these movies have done a good job of using kind of like news footage and ads to kind of build in some satire. And this one starts with an ad for Delta City. So we're back to Delta City. The plan for replacing Detroit with this new place for our children.
Delta City for our children.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the only commercial, though. No,
there weren't many. I wrote that down, and I might have another couple in the notes, but there were not as many commercials in this one.
That's the only one I remember, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if we find one when we're going through, but you might be right. And then we get our media minute, and we find out that OCP has been taken over by a Japanese company.
Yeah, you get the name of the company here?
I did. It's Kanemitish. Kanamich? I wasn't going to try and pronounce it, but you pushed me. So,
Kanemitsu.
Kanemitsu. Oh, that's a U. I can't even read my own handwriting. Kanemitsu is our is the.
I was going to say that I don't think there's like a sh sound in Japanese. You know, that didn't sound. Yeah. But what does this movie know about that? I've got a fun little tidbit. I guess I'll just say it now.
Yeah.
All of the Japanese in this movie is gibberish. Just about.
Oh. Okay.
So that's a whole layer to this movie that I just read about.
Okay.
At least according to IMDb, it's like most of the Japanese is kind of just like improv nonsense.
Just sounds that sound Japanese. Okay.
I mean, unless I guess it's like Wikipedia. It could be fake, but it says it right here. Lots of upvotes on it as well.
Okay. Anyway, so Kanemitsu is the new company that's in charge. And also we've gotten to a point where OCP now fully owns and operates Detroit. So the city has been completely privatized and is owned by OCP. And they use the Kanemitsu stuff for plot points, but then they still refer to OCP as OCP throughout this movie. So I'm going to keep saying OCP.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a merger that's happening. Maybe it hasn't fully happened. And also, it's like a parent company, maybe too, where they don't necessarily change the company's name. They just
that could be it. Yeah,
are owned by yeah.
But anyway, so they're OCP has made some big plans for Delta City, and in order to keep up on those, they have to resettle a bunch of people. So they've brought in a special task force that they're calling rehabilitation officers or rehabs. And these people are going through old Detroit and just kicking people out of their homes, so that OCP can come through and build the new, all the new buildings that are going to go along with this new city. So that's kind of the backdrop for this movie. Anything to add on that kind of opening there?
No, yeah. It kind of comes into a scene with a family and a little girl, mother and father, mom, and daughter. They're watching this on the TV, and she's like asking, "Are we going to be okay?" And they're like, "Don't listen to the news. That's nonsense, right?"
Yeah.
Until I believe a wrecking ball just comes straight through their window out of nowhere.
It sure does. Yeah.
There's also a little shout out that I buy that for $1, guys. Here, there's a lot of random references to the first movie that I felt like were completely left out of the second movie.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they realized that they had that stuff to use after the second one, but they just put it all in here.
Yep. Because Delta City, we talked about Delta City wasn't in the second one at all, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. No Delta City. No, I'd buy that for $1. Yeah.
Yeah. Strange that they took it out, but it's back. These ideas are back.
Even if Peter Weller is not.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, the wrecking ball comes right into their house, and then you get this whole scene of people being kind of rounded up in the streets, and taken away on buses, and families getting separated. It's a very like Holocausty vibe.
It's a lot
of
drama. It's like a very, I don't know. It seems like pretty heavy material to build this movie out of, because the movie doesn't really address any of that stuff. It's just using this as kind of a backdrop. But yeah, it's a pretty dark scene to kind of start this movie in.
Yeah, the girl gets separated from her parents, so you're kind of following her through this. And then you see some people like rounding up this woman. You find out later is named Bertha, and she's kind of like on a loudspeaker trying to get people to rise up and fight back against what's happening, to save your city and all that. So you get a little bit of Civil War stuff kind of brewing here. And I feel like if this was the rated R version of RoboCop, there would have been a lot more people just getting like gunned down in the street, but it's a very In fact, like nobody dies in this movie unless it's like meant for a plot point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
so
this is
much
a very
gunfire and no cops going down.
for a resettlement. This is like very blood free. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, the girl's rallying people. The little girl gets separated. Um, what else happens here? Oh, that she finds like
She finds her
La
RoboCop toy.
Resistance. Oh, that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. So the Resistance, yeah. So a rehab sees her and chases her. Her parents have been abducted by the rehabs, and so she runs away, gets nabbed into a van by this Bertha lady, and Stephen Root from Office Space is in this movie, and Barry, and he's part of the Resistance, and
Yeah.
they pull him into a
And
van.
CCH Pounder.
Oh,
CCH Pounder is the woman. She's in a ton of stuff.
I'm not familiar with her.
And I only really know her because her name sticks out. But she's in a ton of things. Like I can't remember the show. It might be NCIS or something that she's in. Like
Okay.
some big show where she's in like hundreds of episodes of. I don't know if it's that, but it's a show like that. Yeah. Anyway, she's been on tons of things since like the '80s. But yeah.
Yeah, there's some fun casting in this. I did appreciate
a lot of cameos.
Yeah,
a lot of character actors. Jeff Garland,
Yep.
the boss from Seinfeld is also in the van here. He's like the driver.
Yep, and
boss.
who's the guy from the West Wing that's in this?
Oh yeah, Bradley Whitford.
What's his name? Bradley Whitford. Thank you. Yeah, so some fun people in the margins on this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so little kid hops in the van with these kind of resistance fighters that are fighting against OCP, and they immediately bring this child on a heist mission. So they take the van, and they blow up the gate to what turns out to be the police armory. And I thought it was kind of funny. There was an enormous explosion, just huge explosion, and then they whisper, "All clear, let's go."
Yeah.
You know, like
that's classic RoboCop sneaking, where he just blasts in and nobody hears him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Then they get confronted immediately by an Ed 209 unit outside of the police station. But luckily, they've got the best 5-year-old hacker in the city.
Yeah, we didn't mention that before, but this little kid that they brought along on this mission is she's ace with computers. So she hacks into the Ed 209 to make it loyal as a puppy, and then the Ed 209 is on their team from then on.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's just like this is the the PG-13ification of it all, where they're just like, all right, now he's got to be friends with the child, and the child's got to be like the main character of the movie, basically. I don't know. It's not like the most annoying thing, but it's definitely, you can see how it's being changed, right, from the first two movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but they got a hacker. They got this little hacker. And yeah, so they go into the armory, but one of the police, like the swipe card that one of the resistance guys had stolen is is a fake, or it's been reported or something, and it triggers an alarm. And so a bunch of
I feel like your voice is a little like muffled or something. I'm just gonna interject.
My apologies, man. Can you hear me now? We doing good?
I can hear you. It just like sounds different. Like you're in a I don't know. Sounds different.
Okay. I will go back to how I was sitting before.
There it goes. Yeah, there it is.
We're good here. This is the sweet spot.
Yeah. That's a sweet spot.
All right. So the alarm is triggered, and they go through the armory, grabbing tons of guns, just big guns, more big guns, bigger guns, biggest guns.
So many big guns.
Yeah, and crucially, they grab this one thing. They don't even know what it is, but they grab it because it looks expensive, and that thing is going to come back in the most hilarious way in the third act of this movie.
So good.
It's so good. Yeah. So what happens next, Tanner?
I think the cops show up. They get a little shootout going. But they escape, luckily, thanks to Ed 209 being their hacked friend now, and
Yep.
the little wizard girl here, 5-year-old hacker, um, and yeah, I think they just get away, right? I don't think there's even a chase or anything.
No, yeah,
Maybe
because
there is.
the Ed 209 blows up all the cop cars, so they're able to drive away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of the
There's
end of that scene.
there's a quick scene of like a robbery at a restaurant, and this is where Jeff Garlin is. And the guy sticks him up, and there's all cops. Everyone in the store is a cop, and they get this like they're not really doing anything to the guy robbing the store, and then they all get this thing. All cops respond, we need backup, because of these people that are shooting at the cops in the previous scene. And the guy's like, hey, is anyone going to arrest me or what? Like, they just don't even care that this guy's robbing the store.
Yeah, he's not the threat.
Yeah. But there is a chase scene here, actually. Lewis is in pursuit. Lewis shows up, and she's in pursuit of this van. And they have this cool little device that I like that they can change. They can also hack the red or the stoplights so that they can change them to red to green at a moment's notice, which I thought was kind of a cool idea.
Pretty slick, yeah.
Yeah.
And they use it to change the lights to red behind them, and they kind of get rid of all the cars chasing them one by one until the only one left is RoboCop.
Oh no, it's Lewis, right?
She gets tied up in that pileup, I thought.
Well, RoboCop, I thought, doesn't show up for a while because he like come off the top of a building or something.
Yeah, so there's one car that's still chasing the van, and we don't really see who's in it because he pulls away when he hears that Lewis is in trouble. Was how I saw this scene.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. So he's still chasing the van, and he lets them go because then Lewis needs trapped. Yeah.
Because
she gets trapped. Where was she even?
There was almost like a Blues Brothers style car crash with like 4 cars like flipped upside down, sliding around on the road. Just this big dumb pileup. And when they get out of the car, they're kind of sitting ducks. They ended up crashing in a bad neighborhood. The Splatterpunk Turf, which I thought was a great name for a gang. The Splatterpunks.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of surrounded by these lawless punks. They have ones with mohawks. They have ones with piercings. They have ones with eye makeup. All the punks. Every type of punk.
It's a classic 80s, like, splatterpunk kind of look with the, it's like the Warriors, And they all laugh like hyenas. Just ridiculous. But fun. Somebody gets like shot silently out of nowhere. One of the cops, right?
Yeah,
that was weird. What was that supposed to be?
I think it was just to show how dangerous this situation was, but I'm not actually sure.
It's kind of just like, don't be left out on the streets alone. This is kind of what they're setting up. Like, everywhere is so bad. You don't want to get caught in like this neighborhood. Anyway. So RoboCop is chasing the van, and they're telling him to pursue the cop killers and the people that broke into the cop place, the rebels. But he smashes the speaker box and goes to help Anne. And the way he does this is
is insane. It's totally insane. What an entrance he has in this movie.
He drives all the way up this long circular driveway. You don't really know what he's doing. And she's like getting closer and closer to being in really big trouble here. And he drives off the top of a parking garage and lands right in the thick of the action here, and just starts opening fire on.
Upright. And then I need to interject one thing here, because he fucking shoots a hole in the roof of the car, just like 1,000 bullets so close together that he can rip open the roof of the car.
Pops out the top.
That touch. Yeah, pops out the top. Police officer, no loitering, is the line that he uses.
No loitering.
Yeah.
So he just unloads on everything. He comes out. I think might be just like a couple people left, and he catches a bullet in midair, which I didn't know he
sure
had
does.
The ability to do.
Yeah, that was a new ability in this one.
And then
he
Yeah.
He also has in this movie he has arm attachments, which I thought was
Right.
awesome, kind of awesome and kind of ridiculous.
They didn't utilize them enough though.
Not quite enough. Have you ever seen? This is kind of a obscure movie, but there's a movie called Kentucky Fried Movie. It's made by the guys who made Airplane and Top Secret and all those slapstick movies with Leslie Nielsen. Have you seen that movie?
I've seen parts of it.
Okay.
My dad had it on VHS when I was very young, and I remember it because it was some of my early naked breasts that I saw.
There were some naked ladies in that movie for sure, but there's also one of the sketches in that movie. It's a sketch movie, and one of them has Leslie Nielsen as this like evil samurai guy who has a fake arm, and he has like cheese grater attachments and like a wine opener attachment, like all these weird hook attachments, and it kind of reminded me of the gun attachment, and we're going to get to the flamethrower attachment in a little bit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that RoboCop has in this movie. I thought it was maybe a little underused, but it was kind of funny to see. Something new.
Yeah. So I feel like also he was like his arm was like attached to the car or something, so he had to like reattach his arm when he landed. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't really understand what all that was, but yeah, I feel like they weren't very clear with all his attachments.
Yeah.
Maybe I just missed it. So yeah, he's scanning for guys. He scans 3 and then he kills someone and says, make that 2. And then so there's 2 of these splatterpunks left that kind of run away and have the funniest conversation I've ever heard, at least in the movie. Did you catch any of that?
I did. Run me through this.
All right. They kind of get away and they're like, I don't know what they're even deciding. Clock in, Jack. Mega zone invasion. Pop a trank, hypo head. Splatterville is ours. Shoot him in the mouth, splatterbrain. Cyborg eats bullets, Jack. Not tonight, he don't.
I didn't understand a word of that. Not a word.
Pop a trank, hypo head. I love that. Like calm down. That means like calm down. Pop a tranquilizer, hypo head.
I want that on my tombstone when I go. Make a note of that.
When I'm feeling anxious or someone's feeling anxious, I just say, "Hey, pop a trank, hypo head."
You do say that all the time.
I do say it. So yeah, they get just some alcohol basically, and they throw or gasoline maybe. They throw it at RoboCop. Then they shoot a flare at him to light him on fire, but he chases them down, burning. And they're saying like shoot him in the mouth. I guess that's his weak point because he's got human skin there. But he gives them the old nice try creeps, and does he kill them or just arrest them?
I think he arrests them. I didn't write down that he had killed them. I think that's one of the PG-13ification of this.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he and Lewis hop in his car. I'm assuming it's his car because her car's trashed, right?
Well, I thought his car was pretty trashed too, but
yeah, they're both kind of trashed. Anyway, they hop in a car, and then they're driving around, and they spot the little girl, the little genius girl, the little computer hacker girl. He spots her walking into a church, and registers that. I don't think, is she missing? I don't remember quite how he connects it, but they end up coming back to this.
I think he saw like a video. There's some like memory of him seeing a video on TV, maybe of the people being rounded up, and she's in the video. But it's also just PG-13 of it. Like he now has like a soft spot for children all of a sudden as well.
Yes.
He's now like a caring supervisor. So you get that, and he kind of just lets them be, right? Because ignores them.
Now he does, yes.
Yeah. We see some OCP action going on.
Yeah, the Japanese ownership is not happy because the project is not going well. They're not resettling these people out of Detroit fast enough, and they're in danger of kind of like, I don't know, defaulting. They need these people gone so they can start construction.
And kind of inexplainably, they have a new leader of the company, played by Rip Torn.
Was that Rip Torn?
That's Rip Torn.
Oh, dang. Okay. I should have
Which,
recognized him. But,
it's
yeah,
funny. I always would get, for a long time, I used to get Stephen Root and Rip Torn mixed up, and they're both in this movie.
there we go. Yeah.
I don't know why. They sort of look alike, maybe not really though. But for some reason, I would always get them confused. But then yeah, we got Bradley Whitford playing a guy named Fleck,
Uh-huh.
and some evil the head of the what are they called? The group of cops or whatever. McDaggett.
Oh, those are the rehabs. Yeah.
The
Mhm.
rehabs, yeah.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so you kind of get some insight into the OCP being taken over here.
And
You get a shot at this
I'm gonna guess
samurai
that
guy.
the actor who played the old man must have died because the old man is still a character in the graphic novel.
Yeah, I
So I'm
think
just
there was
like they
something about
couldn't get
that.
that guy or something. But yeah, I think
Yeah, I think he was sick or something. Yeah, I think you're right.
okay.
Um, yeah. What else? What else happens here? I think we.
Um, is that it for that meeting?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay. Yeah, so they need these people gone by Friday. And then they kind of decide to bring in their secret weapon, which is called Otama, I believe.
Something like
Did
that.
you write that guy's name down? But it's a Japanese warrior character, and we kind of see him in his dojo meditating, and he opens his eyes.
Yeah,
He will play a part later in the story. Yeah.
Atomo, which is kind of like automatic. I think Atomo, maybe
Oh, that would
Atoma.
make sense.
Yeah, something like that. Which is just more just gibberish, I guess. But it's yeah, Otomo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does it go? I think it goes to the
Then
police
we're back at
station.
the police station. Yep. And Fleck has shown up to see why Murphy disobeyed his order because he was supposed to chase down Bertha and the other folks in the van, but he broke away to help Lewis in that earlier scene, and that defied an order. And so that's not what robots are supposed to do. And so Fleck is there to figure out what's going on. And he directs this doctor to implant what do they call it, a micro neuro barrier, but it
Yeah.
just seems like basically full brain control over RoboCop. So he does exactly what they want.
Yeah, Dr. Lazarus is her name. Yeah, they want him to take out the human side of his decision making. And
Yep.
there's a lot of scenes where look like, why is he making these decisions? They're like, well, they kind of sum it up nicely in this. They're like, if OCP wanted a robot, why did you bother even put any human parts in there? Right? Like,
yeah.
Why they're constantly complaining that he's like going against their directives, but they made a point of making him like half human or partially human. And I just kind of like how she bluntly just says that.
Yeah.
Because they're always complaining about that. Yeah.
And not to get too far ahead, but Atomo is also a robot. And it seems like they could just, if they don't like how RoboCop's doing it, just make him the cop, the RoboCop. You know?
Yeah.
Just
I mean, maybe that's where it's trying to go. Also, that's from what we've seen in this universe, they have really advanced robo cyborg technologies with this guy. Like he's just basically he is just a human looking guy. There's no roboticness about him unless he gets his face hit.
And he is so agile. Like he's a full on like ninja warrior.
Absolutely.
Robot. Yeah.
Like it's advanced so much. It's crazy. From like the RoboCop 2, which was just this big robotic mess, the Ed 209s. Like why are they even bothering with a RoboCop? Just shut him down. Yeah. Like RoboCop seems so easy to just turn him off, break him apart for parts or whatever if you really don't like the way he's acting since he's your product. I'm talking to the OCP now. Like just get rid of him and get this new version of it. Anyway.
Put Tanner on the OCP board. Put him on there.
I am pro
He's
OCP. Yeah, anyway. So he keeps Bradley Whitford to this cop. There's about 4 or 5 times where he's like, "Get your cute little ass out here!" Like, at one point he says, you and that legendary ass, which I just thought was so funny. He has all these different ways of like, I
Commenting
don't
on
know,
something.
commenting on her ass. Yeah.
Yeah,
Legendary ass. I just thought was funny.
that is nice.
Get your legendary ass out of here. I'm gonna start saying that to you, Chris.
Okay.
Get that legendary ass in here. Let's
Yeah.
watch a movie.
Get that legendary ass in here. It's time for
It's a
Wonka
legend.
3. Yeah.
Everyone knows about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they get rid of RoboCop's emotions. At least they try to, so they can make him predictable. But she does not install the chip.
Yep.
In fact, she crushes it. And RoboCop heads to the church where he saw the little girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, at the
What else
church.
happens? Yeah.
No, I think you nailed that scene. At the church, Lewis and Murphy find a bunch of the civilians, the people who are being resettled out of old Detroit to make room for Delta City, and they're kind of like huddled up in the church, finding refuge, and also, they don't want to leave because if they leave, their houses are going to get ripped down. And the rehabs are there to finish sweeping the area, including kicking these people out of the church. And at this point, RoboCop kind of views them with his 3 directives, protect the public trust and protect the innocent. And based on that, he kind of makes the decision that he is going to stand up against the rehabs.
Yeah, it's kind of like 2 out of the 3 directives are protect the innocent and help the people, whereas one of them is like just uphold the law. So I feel like he goes over all 3 and decides, well, 2 out of 3 is better than, you know what I mean? I'm going to do the first 2. But then he still has that 4th directive, or at least it got reinstalled at some point, where he can't harm an OCP officer or person of any type. So he can't shoot the bad guy here when this happens.
Exactly. Yeah, so he shoots at their feet. And Lewis says, "You're going to have to shoot through us," which wasn't a great thing for her to say. Because the guy just goes, "I don't have a huge problem with that." And then they just light up RoboCop and Lewis on the front steps of this church. RoboCop kind of gathers Lewis and carries her into the church, into safety. But it's not enough. She dies, and we lose Lewis. So
she's dead.
She's dead. One of the few characters to make it through all 3 movies, and she is now gone.
Killed her off pretty quick. She barely. I feel like I wonder how much screen time she had between 2 and 3, actually, because I feel like she wasn't really into it all. And this one, she dies pretty quick.
Yeah. They gave her that big entrance in the diner scene too. Like I thought she was going to be a much bigger part of this one, and they killed her off here. Yeah, she's already gone.
I forgot that's how the diner scene went down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I brought up the diner scene and I forgot how it even connected to anything. But yes.
Yeah.
That was her entrance. But it's supposed to be the emotional jumping point for like a emotional moment for RoboCop, even though he's a machine.
Yep.
And you kind of see he's more human than ever. It seems like. He says, "Officer down," and she passes. And then
you can't see me. You can't see me, Tanner, but I'm sobbing. I'm crying so hard over here.
Okay, Chris. It's okay.
Yeah.
Here, take this tissue.
I don't know if my legendary ass will ever recover. Anyway. So RoboCop is now just fully a part of the resistance, which is so different from him being like the visual. He's like the representation of OCP in the first movie. And now he's just fully on the, fighting as part of as like a resistance fighter.
Yeah. Well, he's I guess realizing the corruptness of the people that made him and all this. Yeah. I don't know. He's becoming too human for his own good, at least.
And I think for this movie, it took away a lot of the gray area of the first movie, because in this movie, they kind of get it all in all the right ways. Like OCP is bad. RoboCop is fully good.
Yeah.
Even the CEO isn't really that big of a bad guy. It's like I don't know. It felt, it's a lot less like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah. It's not saying anything.
Yeah. It's not. It's just good guys versus bad guys in this one,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really have any of that underlying gray area that I think makes the first movie so much fun.
It did not make me think. It was entertaining, but it didn't make me think.
Yes.
Whereas the first
Yes.
one did both. Yeah, so they go underground. They take this underground. They have like a secret hideout underground.
Mhm.
And he's I don't even know. They just
But
go under there. They see that they booby trap a manhole to keep people out of the sewers.
they sure did, yeah. And also in here, RoboCop took a bunch of bullets
Oh yeah.
in the front of the church, and he kind of collapses. He can't even carry himself at this point, and yeah, they need to figure that out.
Yeah, so they kind of go underground, retreat to their hideout, and I think it flashes back to Dr. Lazarus, and this is where he mentions her legendary ass. But
On a
he
Zoom
has her,
call.
yeah,
On like a 1980 computer, they're having a little Zoom call, and that's where he pops up.
yeah, he has her turn on the news, and they're kind of blaming RoboCop for all these deaths, right?
Including Lewis. Yeah.
Including Lewis. That's right. So they're turning RoboCop into like a terrorist, and like, you know, the news is partaking in all this as well. I assume they're like owned by OCP or something. I don't know if they ever say that specifically, but they're definitely in collusion with them in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. I think after that scene, they go back to the OCP office, and it's just pandemonium, and everyone's worried about their job. This guy jumps out of a window and kills himself just out of fear of losing his job, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Seems like losing your job is not as bad as suicide, but who knows? Yeah, that definitely happens. And wasn't his wife on the phone too? Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, he's like on the Zoom
Mhm.
call, and she's like, "Oh, it's not gonna be that bad, honey." Blah blah blah, and he's just like opens the window and jumps out.
I'm out. Yep.
Right, and it shows him land right outside, right as the limousine's pulling up, and Atomo is pulling up, getting out of the car, and he has arrived at OCP.
That's right.
Japanese have arrived here. And you get a scene with Bradley Whitford as well, and he gets fired from OCP, and he pulls out a gun and walks away. A little bit later during this conversation, it's a conversation between Rip Torn and that guy who's in the first two movies. He's like the only like OCP kind of henchman, businessman guy that sticks around, right?
Yeah, he's that black
name.
guy who's like second in command or whatever, right? That guy?
Yeah. Johnson, I think. And
That sounds right.
yeah, so he sticks around, and he's they're having some conversation, then you hear gunshots fired. So Bradley Whitford presumably shot himself as well from getting fired. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's not worth living if you can't work for OCP, right?
It's dark times at OCP. Yeah. I mean, it's either that or go join the Splatterpunks.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing in between.
Nothing in between. Yep.
Yeah, have I missed anything here in the last
No,
couple
that was
scenes?
great.
All right.
Nailed that. We go from there to this movie loves rusted out factories, like ones without walls, with like rusty stuff. And so we go back to one of these rusty factory facilities, but this time, this is where all of the displaced citizens from old Detroit are living. And RoboCop is there, completely out of commission, and they send for Dr. Lazarus because she's like the only person who can, or one of the only people that can come kind of help put him back together.
Yeah. And so they send. I don't know if they send or if she just goes off, but the little girl goes off on her own and just walks into the police station and walks into where Dr. Lazarus is in the back, like with RoboCop or whatever, where RoboCop's chair is. How does this girl get into all these places?
I mean, she's a little girl. She does what she wants.
She just kind of wanders in. No one questions it.
Nobody stops her. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it was Take Your Daughter to Work Day, and there were a bunch of other little daughters around, and we just
perfect.
missed that. Maybe we just missed that, you know?
She just sneaks in only on Take Your Daughter to Work days.
Yeah. What are the odds? Yeah.
What happens? Is there a fight scene with the samurai guy or the?
Let's see. He
I have that written
shows
down.
up. He shows up at the refugee camp. So like this
Okay.
at this rusted out warehouse facility. And he gets surrounded, but he kicks a bunch of ass. He is a fighting machine. And one of my favorite shots in the whole movie is right after he gets hit across the jaw with a lead pipe. His jaw is totally out of socket. And he has the creepiest look on his face while he puts his jaw back into socket. And
yeah, he's doing like a Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura face with this but it's like, I mean, it's like prosthetically done, but it's like this crazy like jaw to the right, completely like a foot off to the side, right? Cartoony.
I thought it was cool. I thought it looked really cool, and it made him look really intimidating.
Yeah, and he just like kind of has that face, and he like breaks his jaw back into place, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get him out of there. Do you remember?
I didn't have anything about it. He just kind of shows up and they break his jaw and he leaves, right?
He finds that piece of plastic, that plastic sheet with the red line on it. But it seems like he already found all the people he needed to kick out. So I don't really know why he leaves. It seems like he should just round up all those people. But what do I know?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So he gets like, it's like an overlay sheet, like it's just like a clear plastic thing with like some red line drawn onto it, which you find out a little bit later that if you overlay it over a map of Detroit, it shows like, I guess that's like the path to the hidden bunker, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Which is just insane. There's like this key, and how does he know that there's this key to find? You know what I mean? How does he know I need to find this red line thing so I can find my way? Plus, he's already in the bunker when he finds it.
Yes. And what's drawn on there is like a pathway. It's like a red line across a city.
Yeah.
But so like, do you know which end of the red line to go to, or is the whole thing the tunnel? I didn't quite understand the red line.
Also, what if you found a map that, different companies make maps that are different sizes of Detroit? You have which brand? Is it a Rand McNally or like, you know what I'm saying? Is that even a map company?
Is it Lonely Planet? Do you have to buy a guidebook?
What size map do I need? Do I get the local tourist map, or do I get like an official one that I buy at a gas station or something?
Here's our problem right here, Tanner. Neither one of us is a cyborg, so we don't understand the intricacies of this red line / map situation. Yeah,
you got to be a genius cyborg to understand. Got it.
Yeah, only Otono can put that stuff together.
Yeah, so a little bit of a crazy plot point right there. And then they're showing more it goes into kind of like the first movie where they're putting RoboCop together, and it's him getting repairs done with the first person videos over time. And then at one point there's like, no, that's the wrong heart. We need a Nissan heart. So another joke about these fake hearts. Engine hearts. And she deletes the fourth directive, the OCP directive, out of his memory bank and puts it back together.
Yeah.
And then he gets another tender moment with the child here. And she's asking about her parents, and he has flashbacks and memories of his child and all these things. And then also that
they're really playing up the human side of him.
Yeah.
And so all those memories that Tanner was just talking about are really for that.
He's a hero, good guy now, like we mentioned. Yeah. And he consoles this girl and says he doesn't tell her that her parents are dead because he has a memory of seeing that they died from a computer screen or whatever. But he consoles her, and they have a tender moment.
They sure do. What a hero!
If you remember them, Tanner. They're never really gone. He says.
Wise words.
Yeah,
wise words.
What else happens? I think the next scene is when he finds the map. Oh, he goes to the gas station to get a map. So
Yep.
any old map will do. It'll fit this red line drawing, and he overlays it, and he finds out the path to where he just was.
Yep.
Confirms
Maybe
that.
we're
Oh
wrong on
yeah,
this. Maybe the map goes somewhere else. Please let us know if we're wrong. But that's really what this seemed like to me.
yeah. I mean, unless he got it from a different spot that we mistook, right? Like he was in their bunker when he got it, right?
Yeah, because he was fighting all those dudes.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
crazy.
Um,
But yeah. Anyway, so now he knows the path. I guess it's maybe he can share the information with everyone, with all the cops and stuff.
that could be.
Yeah. There's a
Um,
quick scene back at the police station after this.
I
And
didn't write that one down, so I'm gonna let you lead on this.
well, it's just some guy, street guy coming in. He's like, so you got RoboCops, you got alien cops, you got ghost cops, you got vampire cops. Which that was kind of a funny little thing.
Which one of those would make the best movie? Ghost Cop?
Well, stick around for the survey. Take the survey.
There
We'll find out.
Okay, there we go.
That's the only reason I brought that up.
Okay.
And then RoboCop comes in and he says, RoboCop, you know there's a warrant for your arrest, right? And he's like, yes. And he's like, okay, just checking. I don't really know. He comes back to the cop station for some reason. I think he just it's kind of enforcing that the cops. Oh, then they all quit, I believe, after this. Because they're not going to actually arrest RoboCop. Maybe it's to get his flamethrower here, because the next scene he goes and torches a place, right?
Yeah, let's see. So yeah, he also, this is the first time we see him put on his flight pack, but he takes it off right away and grabs his gun arm instead. But yeah, at the station,
he goes to torch the rehab.
This is what they do. Yeah, the rehab staging area. So all the rehabs that OCP has hired are like in their, I don't know, their tents or their kind of their area, getting ready to raid old Detroit again, to bring in Delta City, and so they send RoboCop in there, and with his flamethrower attachment on his arm, and he just ruins all those rehabs.
Yeah, burns the whole place down.
Yep,
explodes everything. And I think that's kind of all that happens, really. Then you get a shot of, you find out that Stephen Root, one of the rebels, is actually ratting them out and giving them information.
Yeah.
The bad guys, McDaggett. And I think that's like at a motel or something like that. And RoboCop, I don't know how he knows where he is or where all this is happening, but RoboCop shows up at this like motel where there's a whole bunch of cops just like with prostitutes at this motel, basically.
Was this also where they were staging? Was this where they sent him before? Is this a continuation of the scene before?
It might be. He definitely burns it down, and then he goes to the spot and he bursts in on their little meeting, right?
That definitely happens.
Yeah.
This movie's a little harder to follow for me than 1 and 2.
Yeah.
There's just a lot going on. And it's not a factor of us not paying attention. There's just kind of,
it's like, how did he find, how did he find the information to get to this new spot? He just moves to one spot to the next. There is a little shout out. I think when he shows up at the motel, he like saves a girl from being attacked. And it's like another callback to the first movie with the giant shadow up on the building.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of retreading going on in this movie. But he shows up at the motel.
So Stephen Root has been meeting with the head rehab, and what was his name again? You've said it a couple times.
McDaggett.
So Stephen Root is meeting with McDaggett. RoboCop interrupts, and McDaggett escapes out the window. And they also hint at this strange device that that hasn't come to using it yet. So they have some secret weapon that they're going to reveal later. Which they
I think that's supposed to be the samurai, right?
But I think it's the exploding part, which we get to later.
Oh yeah.
was my
There's a
understanding of that.
there's a couple great moments in this scene here. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Um, like he goes up the elevator shaft, and he's like the elevator sticks, and so he has to bust out the elevator. But then he gets a cop points a gun at him almost immediately, and he shoots the cop's gun and like he shoots the gun over and over again and is like juggling in the air.
Oh yeah, it's like spinning in a circle. Yeah.
So he's like bullet juggling this gun for some reason. It's a very strange, funny little moment, I thought.
He's just showing off.
He's just showing off, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just
If you can do
PG-13
ricochet
style.
shots, like
Yeah.
you might as well be able to juggle a gun with bullets.
It's true.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, oh, we can't have any cool kills. Let's just keep adding like cool ways that he can still use his gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, McDaggett jumps out of a window after he confronts him. And I think there's a chase scene. Is that what happens next?
Yeah, RoboCop goes outside and he steals a pimp car. It's like a bright pink, like Cadillac, and he chases McDaggett, and McDaggett is shooting back just these enormous grenades, and each one is hitting the pimp car, and not damaging its ability to drive, but like the panels of the car and the doors and the windows. Each successive shot is like blowing up this car a little bit. It's a little cartoony for me. It's like very comic relief. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so many grenades blown directly at a car, and just eventually it's just on like bare bones. It's like the bare bones of the car are still driving, but it drives perfectly fine.
It's like a silent movie gag. It's like that corny to me, like in that I don't know, you know, the car's still running, and finally they grab this stack of money and throw it out the back window, and there was a bunch of hockey players that were playing on the street, and they come out to gather the money, and that gives the McDaggett enough time to get away, because RoboCop has to stop for these kids.
Yeah, I hated that moment. It's like, just throw in some money out so these kids run into the street, and he can't, like, RoboCop can't. Obviously, he's not going to run over the kids, but why these kids just like get out of the way? I don't know.
Let the one
honk your horn
on fire get through.
Yeah, instead it's just like a complete stop. Just like he could just like honk his horn and keep, you know, like get up there, like come out and say, "Move! I'm RoboCop!" Like get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, oh. I've been,
He needs a megaphone attachment for his arm to yell at those kids. That's what he needs.
Definitely. Let me take off my flamethrower attachment and attach my megaphone.
Exactly. Let's see. So back at, we're back at the kind of the what is that? The factory where all the displaced
hideout.
The hideout. Thank you. Where all the displaced people from old Detroit are hanging out. And this is where Stephen Root reveals that he is actually the mole. He pulls a gun, but he gets outmanned by the other folks there. But to no avail, because this is right when the rehabs roll through. So there's a whole group of rehab officers that come through.
They burst through the window, like just shooting as they come in the window, like a top, like way up high window. And they just burst through a window on on wires, and just instantly just trigger down, just blindly firing their machine guns, which I just thought was insane. Like they're not even firing at anything; they just burst in shooting. Like in the sky, basically. Like imagine like a top skylight or something. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was insane.
I also thought that was insane. I'm right there with you. In this scene, Kuntz gets killed, and the rehabs drop this such a uncompassionate line. If we had let him live, we would have had to pay him, which is kind of shows just how bottom line and what assholes the rehabs are supposed to be in this movie.
There's Bertha also gets killed. CCH Pounder gets killed here.
Yep.
And the girl gets separated again from the doctor. And she's like, "Don't do it again. I can't be alone again." But she's a tough 5-year-old hacker, so She'll be all right.
Do you think she turns into the girl with the dragon tattoo? Is this the origin story for that movie series?
I think so. She definitely
Okay.
kicks a few hornets' nests in this.
Oh, she's playing with fire. Yeah, there's all three. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we go to the cop station after that, and the rehabs and OCP are demanding that the police provide 50 officers to serve as rehabs to clear these people out of Cadillac City. And this was where I had that the cops all dramatically quit.
Yeah, they threatened to take the damages for like all this, I guess RoboCop's damage, or just all the damages that are occurring, and take it out of their salaries. So yeah, they all walk out, and as they're resigning, they're yelling, "You're jeopardizing your retirement benefits." But they can no longer be a part of this shit.
And I will say, living in 2023, taking away my retirement benefits is a pretty good threat.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't want to do this shit ever.
How far would you go to keep your retirement benefits?
You're right. I would go fight
RoboCop. And then I think you get the only other commercial of the movie, I believe, which is the Johnny Rehab cartoon / action figures.
Which
is really good. Yeah, really good. Johnny Rehab is really good.
And I think that is a Frank Miller. That's a Frank Miller thing. That's in the.
Oh, nice.
The other written thing, but yeah, he's how would you describe him? Like a GI Joe action figure kind of thing, but way more
Joe American, Johnny Rehab kind of vibe. Yeah.
And right after the ad, we go back to Media Minute, and Media Minute is once again blaming RoboCop for killing nuns this time, and one of the newscasters has had enough, and she storms off set, because they're blaming RoboCop for the damage that they're doing in the city, that OCP is doing in the city. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're basically like the media break people are aware that this is all bullshit as well.
Yes.
They're just being told to say all this. And then they get the girl hacking.
It is media break. I've said Media Minute twice. Thank you for correcting me there. Yeah.
Did I correct you? I don't.
Well, I said it wrong, so I'm correcting myself. Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you get a shot of this girl. She's, again, hacking. She has this little thing where she just moves wires around and apparently can see every CCTV camera in the entire city.
I don't know what. Yeah, it's amazing what hackers can do. I just know how to use like Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, and I have no idea where I would. She
just has this little like TV unit with some wires, and she moves wires to different areas, and she can see. So like this media break thing happened, and they like cut the cameras off, but she has access to see the camera, and this guy's like picking his nose, the other media break guy. So she's like seeing into their cameras, and then hits a button again or moves a wire around, and then she can see into other security cam footage around the city. It's inexplainable how they make this kid so brilliant with this. It's so dumb. But she sees she finds the doctor.
It's a nice narrative thing though, because whenever the movie needs to get bailed out of something, the girl just like hacks something.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's an easy thing to like. Oh yeah, she can just do this. She's just like,
the girl's a computer genius. She'll solve it. Yeah,
fuck it.
Fuck it.
Yeah. So she finds Dr. Lazarus hidden away, so now she knows where she is, where she's being held, right? And I think it then turns to, there's a couple scenes here of you get OCP is arming the splatterpunks with weapons. So they're getting all this high military grade weaponry. And then the cops are rising up, and they
show up in this neighborhood to fight alongside the locals. So they have fully abandoned OCP. They've quit their jobs, and they are now good guys again. So again, there are good guys and bad guys in this movie in a way that it wasn't in the first movie. There's no gray area. The cops are good. RoboCop is good. OCP is bad. It's very black and white.
Yeah. So, yep. And then I think you kind of get two scenes happening here at once, where one of them is RoboCop is being confronted by Atoma. I already forgot.
Otomo. Yep.
Otomo. and they're having a little fight at the same time that the Splatterpunks / OCP and the cops and all the civilians are fighting in the streets. Let's talk about the RoboCop part first.
Yes,
So
please.
he's having a hand-to-hand combat fight with this samurai guy, and RoboCop is bad at like hand-to-hand fighting. He's
He is getting
completely
his ass
useless
kicked.
in this situation. Like they just made. I know he's like this walking tank, and he's great, and all these other against other machines, and groups of people with guns and stuff like that. But against somebody trying to fight him and slice and dice him, it's completely useless.
Yes.
What else happens in this little fight scene?
Well, he gets his arm chopped off. He loses a couple fingers, and then Otono chops off his whole arm. And then RoboCop is like on the ground, and on the ground near him is like a rocket launcher arm attachment. Was that introduced at any point, or was I? Because to me, it just seemed like it was just there on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Great. So he slaps that thing on, and
the samurai just leaves, right? Like he just he slices him a few times and just disappears for no reason.
Yeah,
the
samurai guy's just kind of in and out of the movie.
Yeah, he'll show up and slice a few things and just disappear from the scene. Like he's not. Why didn't he just kill RoboCop right here?
I don't know.
Yeah. So RoboCop climbs away, and he's gonna hop in that secret weapon that you alluded to earlier. But first, it goes back to the streets, and the cops and the Splatterpunks are fighting, and it's just. I was saying this earlier, how nobody is dying ever. It's just like so many bullets it's just constant firing from both sides of bullets, and not one person is getting hit or falling over or anything. It's just like they're marching down the street, and none of the Splatterpunks are getting hit.
Yep.
Even though they're just opening fire, like dozens of people are opening fire on them.
It's like everyone in the movie is a stormtrooper. No one can hit shit. Yeah.
Yep. Until there's then an OCP tank comes out and fires at a building that they're all standing on, and some guys go flying. And it looks like things are not going very well for the rebels, right?
Yeah. And at this point, too, the CEO, Rip Torn, has shown up to try to stop the rehabs. He thinks that this has gone on far enough, and they've crossed the line. But the main rehab, and I keep forgetting his name. Can you remind me one more time? McCuddy? McDaggett, thank you. It's a fun name. But he basically pulls rank and says, pulls a gun on Rip Torn, and even the CEO of OCP can't stop what has been started. So the tanks are there, and what does RoboCop show up as? With how?
Why?
More questions.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we've even said it, but yeah, the secret weapon that they found earlier is a jetpack.
Hell yeah!
So RoboCop hops in his jetpack because his legs are now not working, although a few minutes later they are working again. But he's crawling around, gets in this jetpack, and he turns the tide of this battle instantly. It's a very fun, very cheesy moment.
Yes.
First of all, he comes in just zooming in on his jetpack, and all the windows are breaking because of the I don't know, the force of the jetpack, or what do you call that?
Coming from the pack? Yeah, I don't know how to fucking say that. Yeah.
And he zooms in and immediately just blows up the tank, the OCP tank, and they kills a bunch of people. He just basically flies in, and not one bullet had hit anyone. And within about a minute, all the Splatterpunks are dead. All the OCP tanks are gone. And that's that. You get the triumphant music.
That's it.
That's the entire thing.
Funny, and I wanted to talk to you about this a little bit. All of the jetpack scenes are comical. The CGI is terrible, and he's wearing like this over-the-shoulder jetpack. It really seems like they could have just done like an Iron Man thing and given him like jet boots or something.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
like
know.
I don't know. Anyway, but he has totally saved the day. You are right. And he flies through a window, in the OCP building to arrest the head rehab and the CEO, Rip Torn.
Yeah. Yeah, he
And
flies to the top of the building, and he's going to arrest them. But I just thought there was another. Oh, the doctor escapes as well right before this, and then
okay,
her and the daughter again, her and the little girl show up at this meeting, or not the meeting, but at the top floor of this building, right after RoboCop gets there, basically, right?
yeah, I don't
Like
know how they got
somehow
there.
they got all the way through this building without being like touched, or there's no security in the building yet
Yeah,
again. This girl just goes wherever she wants.
I think she hacked space and time.
That must be it.
You know, I think that's it. She can hack that too. Yeah, and also our friend, the Otomo, the Japanese warrior, he's decided to show back up. It's time for another scene with him. So he wanders in too, and he gets shot. And it's finally apparent that he too is some sort of cyborg robot thing. And a second one shows up, and
Luckily,
one
there's
of
a
them.
backup. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a backup. Exactly. And again, if you have an army of these dudes, what is RoboCop for? You know,
Just turn them off.
Otomo follows rules.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
also, I did like the graphics. They had one of the Otomos has I can only describe it as a broken face. Like he got hit with something and his face is just shattered into pieces.
Yeah, much like before, just like kind of the crooked jaw and wacky face. It looks good.
Yeah,
honestly.
I thought so too. Those were some of my favorite scenes. Is when the way that they've chosen to present him. With broken. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that those scenes were both nice. And then how do they get out of this pickle, Tanner? Now there are two Otomos, and one of them kicked his ass earlier.
Yeah, it's like it's really dumb. These, like I said, the girls show up and she's just a genius, I guess. She hacks somehow. She instantly hacks into these two Otomos
at the same time. Yeah,
at the same time, she's undetected, getting up to this way top floor, like probably the 50th floor of this building,
like the penthouse. Yeah,
and she gets up there right at the last second, hacks into the samurais, and the samurais turn on each other, and they do a double beheading and
double decapitation. What? Yeah.
So she saves the day. RoboCop's useless. And the McDaggett's like, "Oh, you idiot! Like, you just we're all gonna die now because of you." So these samurai guys are made to self-destruct once they die, and now there's two of them dead here. And RoboCop turns on his jetpack and burns McDaggett's legs and grabs the two girls and jetpacks the wrong way, by the way. He jetpacks, he grabs them, and they go out the door into like the hallways and like the elevator shafts and all that. Instead of out the window, which is where he came in. But then
he broke on the way in. Yeah, it's a broken window. Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes further into the building basically with them, but then the next scene immediately shows him going the right way out the window.
Yeah.
He burns his legs. These guys are exploding, and the huge, massive explosion happens, and he gets out just in time.
Yeah, and the scene of him escaping is like this enormous dumb explosion, and then the dumbest CGI on RoboCop flying straight towards camera. Did you know why did they have a 15-second self-destruct on those androids? That seems like
I don't know,
like a real.
It makes no sense. Like, because you don't know where these guys, if they ever did get defeated somewhere. I mean, just like it did happen. It happened in your building. Why would you don't want that to explode? Also, 15 seconds is not very long.
Correct.
Yeah. So you get a little shot. So the threat is over. The Japanese businessman shows up, and
McDavid is dead too at this point.
Oh yeah.
So
Big
we lose one
explode.
of our big here. Yep.
Um, and you get a little scene with RoboCop and his new family, his rebel
Mm-hmm.
family. He's holding hands with the girl. The Japanese businessman shows up after all this and just like bows to them. Like, I guess he's happy that all this happened after all this.
My thinking was it was like some sort of like samurai master. You know, if they didn't even use Japanese, I feel like they just used Japanese people bow to people they respect. You know, it was like a
Yeah.
respect thing at the end.
Like, I see you, even though he's still, that guy is evil. Or
Oh
is
yeah,
he not evil? I don't know.
he sure seems pretty evil.
And
Yeah,
who, I think Rip Torn is here, and um, I don't.
yeah.
Anyway, the movie kind of ends. What's
Rip
that?
Torn proposes that they went too big, and instead of ripping out old Detroit and putting in Delta City, maybe they should just start with gentrification. So start a little smaller, and so the CEO fires him, and then you get the salute to RoboCop. Yeah, and this is the very end. Did you catch the last line in here?
Yeah, he's like, we can I call you Murphy or something? He says, my friends call me Murphy. You call me RoboCop.
Yep. Credits.
So that's the end. And then he's,
Yep.
he's got his new friends and family now. Oh,
Aw.
oh. And that's RoboCop 3.
So
Yippee.
heartwarming. Yippee.
Chris,
Well,
what'd you
Tanner.
think?
Yeah, man. I thought I thought it was okay. I think the jetpack was like some nice bad movie injection for this for me. The plot was fine. I just thought like setting this movie with resettlement and war crimes is like a really dark place to start, and I don't know that this movie is good enough to justify that.
Right.
And so like I don't know, it's fine. Not having the original actor for RoboCop I think hurt the series. And yeah, I don't know, it feels like they could have cleaned up the plot a bit. It was a bit hard for me to follow at some points, and there were a lot of things going on. But I mean, it was still a RoboCop movie. There was still a lot of fun stuff in here for me. I don't know, what did you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I found it more fun than I thought I was going to. I remember hating it when I first saw it, like, fuck
Okay.
this, it's not the same. And I kind of just was like letting it wash over me as like a dumb action movie, and the jetpack scenes were fun and ridiculous.
Yeah.
That being said, like just like the kidification, the PG-13
Yeah.
rating, just it takes so much away from what RoboCop is and was and should be.
It lost a
Um,
lot of the satire too by having such good
all of it.
guys and such bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah, like not all of it, but a lot of it. It's just the black and white of it all. And just him like being friends with this little girl hacker. That whole thing was ridiculous in my opinion. Like just she's like a magic genius hacker. And she's literally 5. I mean, maybe if she was like 10 or like a young child, it's like a 12-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl who's like, the smart young quippy girl or something, like that could have worked, but she's literally like a 5-year-old girl, like
Yeah.
tiny, young, too not smart enough to do any of this stuff. No way. Uh, so I had some issues with that. I don't know. Um, just like you said, you can kind of just fill her in and fill in any plot holes or any plot devices you need to make happen. You just throw her in and she can hack something away. Um, anyway, it's a fun action movie,
Yeah.
but a huge downgrade, and I'm glad they didn't just continue with this series as is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, I think we talk about if there should be more sequels. Um, I'm glad they kind of stopped with this iteration. Maybe they could have done something later with Peter Weller and all that. That maybe, like there is more to do in the world. I just think the direction it was heading, making it more and more accessible, was the wrong direction for it.
Yeah.
Um, and if you do it right, of course there's room for more. I just feel like dumbing it down and watering it down is not the way to do it. Because otherwise it just turns into standard, just there's a robot action man movie rather than the satirical, biting humor and over-the-top violence of the first one.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris? Do you think they should have kept going and made a RoboCop 4?
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I would like to see it at this point just because I enjoy RoboCop movies. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think once you've actually done the ripping out old Detroit for Delta City, which is something that they've kind of hinted towards, but this was actually that happening. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of places left to go. And at this point, RoboCop has fully left OCP, so you don't have him as as a complicated figure. He's just a mercenary at this point for the resistance, which is a very different story than the first one.
I would like to see kind of a thing in the future where Delta City happened and is built, right? For whatever reason, and RoboCop comes later to, I don't even know how it would go, but it would be cool to see like the progression of the Delta City happening a little bit more.
I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah, some kind of dystopian future city.
Yeah, that does change it a bit though, because I feel like a lot of these movies is like fighting for your old, it's fighting for what you still have, and at that point it would be like I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out my butt, but it would be a very different movie. It would be interesting to see though, and like you said, if Peter Weller was back, I would watch it.
Yeah. Do you have any specific beef / MVPs?
Let's see. I mean, visually, like I said, I really like the scenes with Otomo, and when specifically that shot when he puts his jaw back in place, I thought was the coolest visual in the entire movie. I mean, I feel like I've hit on the beef. It's just, they missed the satire in this one. It feels like it's too family friendly. It's too that far. It's too that way. What did you have for MVP?
MVP would be the jetpack.
Jetpack. There you go.
Cruising around on a jetpack, RoboCop on a jetpack in general. I like the idea. I would like to see like the fourth movie. Maybe he comes in he can like fully, I don't even know, attach himself to a tank or something, or like he turns into a Transformer type RoboCop. I don't know. See where it could go from there.
What if everybody had jetpacks? The whole resistance.
Yes, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, up that jetpack game.
But that's my MVP. The beef would be just the PG-13, dumbing it down, kidification, of the franchise is unfortunate to see, but that's what happened.
Yeah,
that's what happened. Let's see. This movie it cost $22 million and it made $47 million worldwide. So still a hit. Probably even more in video rentals. Still made money, but I think a lot less than the other ones. And I guess I don't know if that's why they didn't make another one. Maybe
it might have had something to do with that Orion thing that you were talking about too, right? Because weren't they having a lot of problems at this point?
They went bankrupt at some point. They didn't. There's still a company, I think, but they had a lot of hits in the 80s. I don't know what happened. They mismanaged their money or something.
Okay.
But I don't know. Also probably the reviews for this movie were really bad. The reception, people did not like this movie when it came out. So I think that's probably why I didn't get another sequel.
Sure.
More so than the money, because it made some money. But let's see. I think that's all I really got on this movie. There's not a whole lot of tidbits or anything. I mentioned that the Japanese was mostly gibberish, which is insane.
That is insane. Yeah.
I mean, that's very racist, no?
You could not get away with that today.
No,
but they obviously did in 1993. Yeah.
And then I mentioned it was filmed 2 years before it actually came out. and they didn't release it due to bankruptcy and just not having funds, maybe to finish editing it and promoting it and stuff like that. Um, yeah, but I think that's all I got. You have anything else about RoboCop 3, Chris?
Nothing about the movie. Should we jump into Milk here?
Do it.
Cool. Yeah, let's see. I read, like I mentioned earlier, I've been reading the Frank Miller RoboCop. What's that thing called? They re-released, or they released a couple graphic novels based on the original screenplays that Frank Miller wrote for RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3. So this week I read the RoboCop 3 one, and I liked it more than the RoboCop 2 one. I think there a lot more of that story made it onto screen. So I think it's almost like a faithful retelling of this movie. It felt very similar, but very much less PG-13. So it might be, you might be interested in it, Tanner, because it has a little bit more of the violence than this movie did.
Oh, I love my violence.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah, so it was good. I liked it better than the second one. I also thought that the second one had a much more, I like the art style in the one for RoboCop 3 compared to RoboCop 2. It's a little messier and a little less refined, and I think it made this, I don't know, I liked it better with this story, because the gore with the super kind of like realistic, very well-defined art style of the second of RoboCop 2, it was just a little too much for me. So I enjoyed RoboCop 3, I think, a little better as a graphic novel versus a book, and I enjoyed the graphic novel better than the second one. Graphic novel versus a movie, and I enjoyed this one better than the second one. And there's a little epilogue that I didn't quite have time to read this week, so if there's anything in there, I'll bring them up next week.
What is it?
There's an epilogue. I didn't quite have time to finish the whole thing. I finished the RoboCop 3 part, and then they had an epilogue at the end. So if there's anything, I'll let you know next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I got just a brief thing. I've exhausted a lot of the games. But I am getting close to the end of the RoboCop Rogue City, and it's basically the story that's like the new one that just came out a few weeks ago, and it has Peter Weller reprising his role and Annie Lewis reprising her role as in voice acting, of course. And it's pretty true to the lore here, which is nice. It takes place between RoboCop 2 and 3 and kind of fills in the gaps. Basically, it explains what happened to the old man. So, we talked about how Rip Torn took over in the third one as like the CEO of OCP. And this kind of goes into what happened with the old man in between that. And it kind of...
Interesting.
Yeah, not fully about that. There's all sorts of things. There's some new guy selling nuke, and there's a lot of like just general crime stuff happening, but there's some new guy, who's the brother of one of the Boddicker henchmen from the first movie, apparently, and he's the new bad guy in the street. What is his name? William something. Wendell Antonowski. And he's just kind of the new bad guy in town. And then you find out later that the old man is kind of perpetrating all this. And the old man is dying, and so to save himself when he's dying, he becomes another version of like a RoboCop 2 kind of thing, and puts himself into a RoboCop. And this kind of explains that, RoboCop killing him at the end of the game is why he's not in the third movie.
Got you. Okay.
Because he went rogue, I guess. Rogue City, if you will. And, just the general, just kind of villain plot of selling nuke and doing crime in the city is all there. They're trying to get the city constructed still. Kind of just fills in the gap, much like a Rogue. Well, I didn't even think about this. Rogue One and Rogue City. It's very much like that. It's that in-between point of episodes 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 or whatever it is.
Sure. I was
Yeah.
curious last week. Does the game include like the media break and the
Yeah.
commercials and the Ed 209? Does it have all the stuff?
Yeah, you have a battle with Ed 209 at one point. It's actually kind of a tough battle. So it's just you versus Ed 209, and he, you got to hit him in like this weak spot on his armor.
Classic. Yep.
Yeah, there's media break for sure. Starts off on the media break just like normal, and
Okay.
like these like splatter punks or whatever they're called in this game. Take hostage the media break people and
Oh
talk
wow.
about the
Okay.
new guy and the nuke and all that they're trying to. Yeah, you'd spend a lot of time just like cleaning up the streets. It's really funny. There's like when you're in the sections where you're cleaning up the street, you'll find like a car double parked or parked in front of a fire hydrant, and just you can choose to give a ticket or let it go, and it changes the public's view of you, whether you're just like a nitpicky like cop who's wasting time giving tickets for that, or
Yeah.
whether you're gonna let them go for stuff like that. Like I've given tickets to like homeless people for like sleeping, with an open bottle of alcohol out or something, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I've gone full like that cop. I'm just giving tickets for everything. So it's kind of a fun aspect of the game. It doesn't seem to have a whole lot of overall consequences, but the people do talk to you differently. And it's pretty good with the dialogue choices and stuff like that. It's pretty well written and entertaining. And the gun scenes are really fun. You really feel like this strong tank guy just blasting people around. You can like slow down time a little bit. You have a little boost. You can scan things. You can ricochet off things and shoot people. Yeah, and you move a little slow because he's like a tank, and they did not shy away from making him that slow robotic tank guy.
Yeah.
But it works because the scenes that you're actually fighting in, it's very close quarters combat and stuff. So it's not like you have to really move. You're just kind of tanking through this place. But yeah, lots of Easter eggs. There's signs all over for Delta City for your children that I noticed, like the beginning of RoboCop 3.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Tons of things. Yeah, tons of little Easter eggs.
Would you
Annie
recommend
Lewis.
it, Tanner? It
Oh yeah.
sounds like you would. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's not like an overly long open world game,
Mhm.
The sections are all like when you're outside, you're just kind of there's like this one area of Detroit you can roam, and then a lot of the other scenes are like you're in a specific area, like a junkyard or a hospital or whatever it is. So it's not like a full like GTA style open world thing, but yeah,
They don't all need to be that. You know.
exactly. No, I
Yeah.
sometimes those games I get bogged down, and you put in like 50 hours, and it's too much, and there's too many side quests. This is nice and yeah, just tightly wrapped little package here with very faithful stuff and the original voice actors. So if any fan of RoboCop would enjoy playing this for sure.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And if I think of any more Easter eggs next week that I see in things, I'll let you know now that I've talked about the game a bit. But yeah, very fun. Very fun.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's all I got. There's one more Xbox game that looks really bad that I'm having trouble trying to play. So maybe I'll get to it next week. Maybe not. We'll see.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what I'm going to be doing for Milk next week, but I'll find something.
Read the epilogue.
That's right. I'll do that.
Maybe there's like toys or games you could kind of look into and see what's like board games and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll poke
Just
around this week and we'll see what we can dig up.
research.
Yeah.
Because that is something I do want to talk about on some of these franchises, like the action figures and stuff like that are so big in a franchise like this. I'm kind of curious, like how much money they make. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look into that. But yeah, that's all I got.
That's RoboCop 3. Yeah,
that's it.
Let's put a pin in it, and we'll return next week to talk about the most recent RoboCop film. What year did the
2014.
2014? Okay, RoboCop
Called
2014.
RoboCop. Yeah, it's a straight remake, starring Joel Kinnaman. But yeah, we'll get to that next week. Make sure to take the survey in the show notes and follow along, play along with us, watch along. That'd be great. We love you. Chris, this is my news. We should make a new sign out right now. How would you sign out your TV show or your podcast here?
Oh my.
Putting you
That's
on
a
the
lot
spot.
of pressure. Yeah, you are putting me on the spot. I don't know. You got anything lined up?
I'm just gonna say until next time, don't have a cow, man.
Bye.
Bye.